Hey folks, Joel Wraith here with H3O. It is review time, and today we are going to review the Pnuma Crestone Pack. And this is a pack that we've been testing out this off season, comparing and contrasting with packs that we've used in the past, packs that we used last year, packs that we currently use. And what we want to do is show how this thing stacks up compared to those and give you a better idea of the functionality of this, the make, the durability, the user friendliness, some of the options within this bag to give you better information to make better educated decisions for your next hunt when you go out in the field. All right, so let's dig into some of the specifications within this bag. First and foremost, a lot of us make our decisions on what type of pack that we are going to purchase based on the style of hunting that we do. And so this pack is a 3,500 cubic inch pack, which a lot of times in comparison to others in the market space is probably the mid-range in terms of size. This pack fits us really well based on the fact that we do a lot of day hunting, we do a lot of base camp hunting, and gives us the option that if we wanted to do a 2-3, or if we did it really well in terms of how we pack this bag, potentially a 4-day hunt out of this bag where I could get all of my camp in there. So size is the first thing. They don't make this in a different size. I know some other folks make theirs in various sizes, and Kafaru and Exo and those guys, build out bigger bags. This is a base level bag for them that comes one size fits all. So in terms of makeup, durability, those types of things, Pnuma has made this pack out of a 560D Cordura, and in comparison to some of the other packs that we've seen on the market, that's a little bit heavier in terms of the make of the material, which is great, which means that this bag is going to hold up really well as you look and do some contrast and compares with other bags in this space. Now, as we move on from there, some other nice features is they've made some waterproof zippers on this bag, so we know that we're not going to have issues with moisture getting into the bag. It has its own dedicated hydration pouch that's in here, so that we don't have to worry about things flopping around or our pouch potentially getting wet if we do have our hydration bladder in there. And so as we start to break down some of the compartments in here, we're going to talk next about how this thing kind of stacks up with its usability and some of the features within how this bag can be packed and how we can get our gear into here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with some of the larger features on here, and we're going to work our way down into some of the more minute details of how this bag operates and functions as we start to think about how are we going to pack our gear into here. So the first one is the top lid. I'm a big fan of how this top lid works. You can see that this thing really has nice coverage over the top of the pack itself, so it sits and rides very nicely. You can see it's got a flap over the top here, so it's going to hold, it's going to stay in place, which is really nice. All I have to do is unclip this and I can pull this off. This gives me access to the top loading portion of the bag. So if I want to reach down, grab larger gear, stuff this thing, this gives me a really nice option, and all I have to do is pull that string, shove this down, and then these guys actually tension really easily on the top here with these straps on the top. So super simple feature here for me to be able to keep this thing nice and tight. You can see I get those moved down. And then as I move into the main compartment, there's a couple things I really like about this main compartment. You can see here that there's some strapping on the front end of the bag here, which allows me to either use this for housing my weapon, bow, whatever that might be, or additional gear. But the cool thing that they did here is, if you notice where these zippers are at, is this allows me to actually open this main compartment without having to release or undo these. They put these on the inside, which makes access to this main compartment super nice. And you'll notice that this goes up instead of down, which allows me to really get into here and find anything that I would need. And then in the top lid itself, you'll see that what Pnuma has done is they've added some mesh pouching. So if you have some smaller things, whether that's first aid, whether that might be additional supplies, snacks, those types of things, they've created a lot of nice compartments in here that allows me to separate some things out. And I know with some of the bags I've used in the past, a lot of times they've got nice features on the sides, on the top, and then when you open the middle part of the pouch, it's just kind of an open space. And a lot of times I don't like that, just based on the fact that I can't get my gear kind of segmented out to where I can put first aid stuff here, snacks here, additional pieces, where it allows me to really organize this area very well. And then on the inside of this pouch, I also have some long features here where I've got two zippable openings on the side where I could put longer or maybe bigger items that I could put inside of this as well. And again, keep me from having a whole bunch of stuff just stacked into here where I'm going to have to sort in order to get to it. So I really like that feature. And then obviously you can see the bladder compartment is here as well. So now as I move on to some of the other maybe smaller features, which are equally as important based on how you're going to set this pack up, is I mentioned that we have some top straps here that we can utilize for either holding our bow or our rifle. Pnuma has also made a separate pouch here that allows me to pull out a weapon holder. This will work for a bow or for your rifle, and this thing velcros shut, which is super nice, and I can stow this thing away. This comes standard with the pack, it's not additional, so you have this upon purchase, which is awesome. And then as I move on to some of the side features, I move into the outside here, I can loosen these guys, and I've got space here where I can store and stow my sticks, my tripod, whatever that might be. I've got elastic openings on both sides where I can either put extra water bottles. Again, I could put my shooting sticks, I could put my tripod, I could put walking sticks or whatever on both sides. And then my hip pouches. This pack is awesome in terms of the way that the hip pouches work. It comes standard with a hip pouch on this side. You'll notice that this has not only a large feature where I can put my calls and whatever I want to have readily handy to me, it does have a small elastic opening here, so I've got one small separator and then an additional external pouch on this hip pouch. And it also allows you to remove this, so this is attached through molly webbing here. So if I don't like this on my left side and I want to move it to the right, or if I would like to add another one, I could have them on both hips, which is a really cool feature. And then you can see on this side where that molly webbing actually lives, and we could attach our bear spray, our sidearm, whatever else we might want to put on this side of the hip pouch. And then the belt itself, you can see really nice padding here. It does come with a very nice lumbar pad. You can see that this separates really well here. So it's going to give me some padding. It's going to let that shelf sit right on the top of my hips, and it should ride really well. The last features that I want to talk about is the frame, and we're going to show you how we break this thing down to get to the frame. This does have a titanium frame in here. This pack in total weighs under 100 ounces. So our total weight for this pack is about 6 pounds. Pretty manageable. You can look at comparatives. Obviously there's a few that are lighter, there's a few that are heavier than that. All right guys, so now comes the real test. What we are going to do is we're going to use our performance sandbag training sandbags that we use in our weight room. We use these with our packs in terms of training. So what I have is our 30-pound sandbag here. I have our 60-pound sandbag here, and then I've got our pack here. So what we're gonna try and do is load the 30-pound pack in the main compartment. We're gonna load the 60-pound pack in the load hauler, and we're gonna load it up and see how it performs. So I'm gonna take you through this, and hopefully everything holds up, and we're gonna see how well it fits and rides, and we're gonna talk about how we make sure that the pack is sitting so that we can maximize how efficiently we carry that load. Okay, so we've got the bag loaded up here. We've got 90 pounds on here. So if you think of the tare weight of the bag of 6, we're at about 96-ish pounds or so total weight of the bag. And the biggest thing with this is understanding kind of how the strapping systems work. The bottom of this thing is really nice because it has some tensioners here that allow us a lot more space depending upon obviously the size and amount of material that we're going to put in here. And so now we're going to see how does it feel when we get it loaded up, and then we're going to look at how the pack itself rides and see how it feels most importantly. So
loading your pack before you go out into the field is an extremely important exercise in learning how your pack operates, as well as learning how to properly put weight in your pack. We want to distribute the weight as evenly as possible so that it minimizes the amount of stress that it will put on our shoulders, our back, and our hips, and will also improve our efficiency as we go to pack out. You'll notice here that the bag is nice and vertical, that I have the weight resting on my hips as well as my shoulders, and I'm distributing that as evenly as possible through the use of my load lifter straps, which is going to make my pack out the most easy and effective.
Okay, so we talked about all the features within the Pnuma bag, and now we're going to take all of our stuff and get it packed into here. So if you'll notice, I've got everything kind of laid out here. We're going to walk through realistically what my pack is going to look like, pretty close to everything that I'll bring with me in a day, and show you how this will fit into the bag itself. So starting from the far right over here, obviously we have our bladder. We'll get our bladder loaded into there. I really like to carry some bars, depending upon what you like. I don't have a huge preference. I just have some Quest bars here, a little bit of trail mix. I typically like to carry some type of jerky, some good protein, and this is some spicy goose. If you watched our YouTube page, we released a video on how we cook this, so you can go check that out. These are our Right Stuff pouches. These will go into our bladder. This is the best hydration that you are going to find on the planet, and so we're super excited to always carry this stuff along. It really helps us maintain our hydration levels, maintain our muscle function, as well as this stuff will combat any altitude issues that you may have on top of that. Simple things here. These are some of our tablets. These can be wet and they will expand out into a cloth, which is nice. Some tissue paper, some wet ones, always good to have. Usually don't need these a ton during archery season, but I always bring a piece of, or a pack of hand warmers. Extra batteries, we usually bring 3 or 4 extra batteries with us for our cameras. This is our Sawyer hydration system. Should we run out of water and we need to filter any extra blades for my replaceable for our skinning and our cleaning knife here. Face paint, I usually carry a couple different ones of these. These typically will last pretty well, but I always like to make sure that I've got multiple options here just in case one dries out or starts to get hard. Our calls, which we'll always carry. I like to carry some extra string in case something goes wrong. If I need to redo a D-loop or whatever that might be, I'm going to always kind of keep an extra piece of that. And then we start getting into some other things that are probably more of our cleaning, our kill kit, and our first aid. This is just a survival piece. This will work its way out into like 10 yards of extra string here. I always carry a whole pack of paracord. If we need to hang meat or anything like that, I'll always keep an extra one of those. An extra knife, I'll usually carry one on my hip itself, but I bring an extra one here. This has a skinning and a gutting knife there, a rip hook on it, and then a knife sharpener. This is our Hunter Honer Pro. This is a super simple design here. I can just quick and easy sharpen my knives. And then our antimicrobial carcass spray. If you've never used this stuff is fantastic. This will definitely be a huge help as we clean, keeping flies off, keeping our meat safe, keeping it clean, and helps keep it in a lot better condition. Our bear spray, always carry this along. I usually have this loaded either on my hip or somewhere really close. I like to run the black Ovis game bags, so this is a full setup and kit of our elk game bags with black Ovis, and then a few ancillary things like my trekking poles, and then this is mainly my first aid kit here. And so if you go into this, I really have this just parceled out. I've got everything from cold compacts here. This is a SAM splint, so this is a hard splint. Obviously a lot of things in here we hope we never have to use. This is a survival kit. This is a Transcend, and this Transcend has everything you could possibly need, from fire starter to first aid supplies, a lot of ancillary things like gauze, bandages, stuff like that in here. There's also a guide in here for backcountry survival, just making sure that we have those things on hand, as well as some moleskin. So a lot of small essentials here, but necessary things for us as we go to pack this stuff in our bag. And now we're going to take all this, get it loaded into the Crestone, and see how it packs out. Okay, so you can see, got everything loaded here, pack is on, everything's riding super nice, got everything that I need kind of first hand in my hip pouch here. I will add my sidearm to this side, but the pack is fully loaded and rides really well, and I really don't need to have anything else, probably other than maybe a little bit of extra food if I'm going to bring lunch or something like that. But you can see, pretty quick and simple, utilize all those internal compartments, which is huge. It allows me to keep things really super organized, and to me that's a huge asset within how this bag operates, function, and gives you the ability to kind of separate things out and keep things where you want them, so when it's time to utilize them, you can find them super quick and easily accessible.
Thanks so much for watching today's review. We hope it was super beneficial. We value your input, your feedback, as well as any comments or questions that you might have. Leave them in the comment section below. And just for doing so and following along, we always want to give back to you guys by offering you an exclusive H3O Pnuma discount. Get 20% off your next Pnuma order through the use of our code. Check that out and take advantage. And as always, be sure to smash that like and subscribe button, as we appreciate you following along and supporting our page. And until next time, may your aim be true and your tags be filled.